Hello everybody, welcome to the Good Bit Podcast. Another brand new episode is here. Thank you for downloading. What a really cool episode we have in store for you this week, everybody. We're talking about one of the biggest films of the year, one of the biggest films in the world right now, one of the most spectacular and epic casts ever assembled, I think. We are chatting this week, ladies and gents, about a very current movie. Hopefully, a lot of you would have been out to see it by now. But yes, it is driving, this along with Barbie, is driving everybody back to the cinema, which is lovely to see. Hopefully it continues. We're talking about Christopher Nolan's latest epic this week on the Good Bit Podcast, Oppenheimer. My word, lots to get into, and a really cool episode indeed, because for the first time in ages, I am joined by not one, not two, but three incredible guests, incredible actors with beautiful voices, ladies and gents. We have returning to the Good Bit, we have Tyler Collins and Greg Jones, both two of my favourite guests that I've had in the last year or so here on the Good Bit Podcast. So welcome back to you two. And also joining us for the first time, very, very happy, a very warm welcome to Michael Geary, who's joining us on the podcast for the first time as well, all representing the incredible voiceover agency, Damn Good Voices. Michael, it is a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing? Welcome to the Good Bit Podcast.
Hello, and thank you very much for having me. Very excited to be with all you amazing people.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how the episode goes, and then you can take that comment back if you want. Tyler, you're looking well. You got a beard going.
Man, you too. Yeah, this is entirely out of laziness. I couldn't find the charger for my razor for a while, and then I finally did find it, and then it's been like a week of me telling my girlfriend I'm gonna shave tomorrow. Promise.
It will happen at some point. Maybe it'll happen on their podcast, and then people will have to go and watch the video version, which you can find on YouTube.
Yeah. I'll just have this horrible buzzing noise through the second half.
It's like reverse ASMR. It's like the worst thing you can hear.
Clang, clang.
Listen, good content. I'm just looking for that content. We're doing weekly again, so we need as much content as possible.
We could do an ASMR version.
Oh no! I've got misophonia. That makes my spine shrink.
Sorry.
Oh,
that's terrible.
I was going to do one of those like weird, like sippy things of my
I shall
tea
not
right
do
up.
that.
Nope. No.
Okay.
Nope. It makes my fight or flight kick in. So it's funny though, because that's actually what it is basically when somebody has misophonia. It translates in Latin to basically the hatred of sound, which is obviously not true.
For a voice guy, that's bad.
No, but it's basically I can't set out certain noises. I can't separate them. And so for some reason, mouth noises, which then of course is great for when I'm listening back to things, because I'm super sensitive to being like, that makes me want to throw up and run away. So I'm going to re-record that and drink some water.
I will not do that again, although I really enjoyed how you folded in on yourself. And I'm wondering if how far could we go until you just like reached a singularity point?
Become, yeah. Like when they're trying to explain in sci-fi, teleportation.
Yeah, we should.
And then his nose touched his feet, and he didn't even bend his knees.
Almost collapsing in on yourself like an atom.
Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're on.
Segue?
Now we're in.
Segue.
Geez, I'm just going to let you guys go, and I'll just sit back and have my cup of tea. But all I did notice, though, Greg, when you went to take a sip of your drink there, you did lean back now.
I leaned away. I was like, I'm not even triggering this.
I mean, it's not that intense. It's more of a like chewing noises.
Okay.
It's like, or like if my cat is cleaning himself, you just kind of,
Right,
and it's also, it's more so if I can't see it as well. I don't know. We don't need to make this all about.
So it's like all the clicks and
all the clicks and
smacking
noises
right.
and smacking. And,
I was given a piece of advice the other day. You might know this, to avoid a little bit of the clack sound when you're recording. Eat an apple.
Yep. Particularly a green apple, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, because apparently the acidity in it does something to your saliva that calms down all that.
Oh, me, oh my.
Really?
Look at us, all this amazing stuff.
I'm telling you, every day is a school day, especially on the Good Bit Podcast. And Greg, lovely to see you again. Third time on the podcast.
Third time, mate.
I must like you or something.
I know, it's got to be something.
Have you got any new Blu-rays to show us? or steelbook?
I have something I prepared earlier. This is the new stuff.
I knew you were going to love it. Go for it.
Because last time I had to reach for it, but yeah, I was like, in case I get asked, I'm going to have them to the side. What have we got? We've got Frozen. We've got Scream 6, amazing. John Wick 4, so good. Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, lovely.
Avatar 2. We got Quantum Mania. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah,
Nice.
Ready Player One and good old Shrek 2. There you go.
Shrek
What a
2
countdown.
on
Shrek.
Blu-ray Steelbook. 4K.
Oh yes, my friend. 4K. Oh yeah.
Nice.
That giant gingerbread man has never looked more sweet.
Listen, Shrek is an absolute classic, but I think I prefer Shrek 2.
Shrek 2 is so much better. So
Really?
much better. Yeah.
I think so.
I think I've only
Shrek-
seen it once, and it was so long ago.
Oh, that's definitely worth a rewatch.
Oh,
Shrek
yeah.
2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It was,
good one. One of those better kind of Pixar sequels. There's a few strange ones. I mean, Shrek 3 and 4 I can't really tell you much about, but the first two are great.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of falls off the bandwagon on 3, I think, for me. But number 2 is just like pinnacle. That was so good.
Yeah, it came in a green DVD case back in the day, so it always stood out on the shelf. It was like the Pink Panther came in a pink one. It was always really nice.
Oh, see, I had this really nice, I haven't got it anymore, but this really nice version of it where it was like in a little like slip case, and you would open the front and there was a button that would basically make Donkey sing. Or something like that. His teeth would light up, and I think he would either sing or talk. But that was just magical, and I wore it to death. That eventually, you know, like when toys start running out of battery, and you press it, and it just sounds like it's been possessed. It's like, as it's slowly running out of juice.
But it's just supposed to be Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I don't know where that went, but I reckon there's a couple that are kicking around. But yeah, that's the stack update.
I like it. I used to collect Blu-rays and movies all the time, but I've just fallen off a little bit just because of all the streaming stuff and the on-demand stuff. But I love the physical media, you know. I love the physical media. We're just speaking about Shrek there. Have anyone been to like Universal Studios in Orlando? Yeah? No?
Yeah, a while ago, I actually got my
time ago.
I got my mom to ride the Hulk ride.
Oh,
Amazing.
I didn't really tell her that it's like one of those rides where you climb and you climb and you climb, and then you get about halfway, and then it just fires you.
Yeah.
And then you do like a loop the loop, and then
Do you not go back the way as well? You go back down the hill before you get going. Yeah, it's crazy. My favorite one was called the Rocking Rocket or something.
Rocking Roller Coaster.
Rock and Roller
and you
Coaster. Is that
pick
the
a
Aerosmith
song.
one?
Oh,
Yeah. That's
You
right.
pick a song for your ears, and it was like Limp Bizkit, and you know you can pick.
That's
any
the one I
song.
took. Yeah, rolling.
Rolling. Yeah.
What is it?
Well, I am going to have to properly drop this in here because we get married in 29 days.
Oh, congratulations!
But a month today we will land in Orlando because that's what our honeymoon is. It's 2 weeks in Florida, and we've said that the very first ride that we're going to go on is Hulk. So this is getting me all the more excited. So probably literally a month right now we'll have been on the Hulk.
Mate, you're gonna love it.
Cannot wait.
Great.
Cannot wait.
Yeah. The Hulk one's awesome, and then the Rocking Rocket. Look out for that one. That was my favorite
Yeah,
one.
rock and roller coaster.
Rock and roller coaster.
Rock and Roller Coaster.
Oh, we'll be
So
ready.
good. But the reason I bring it up is because they have the kind of Shrek, you know, bit where you go and they've got someone dressed up as Shrek, and they also have a donkey head hanging out the wall, and they have someone that is like the best impression of Eddie Murphy, and he like interacts with like the customers and stuff, and she just obviously asks, you know, your name and stuff, and then like does like a wee bit like there as donkey. It's hilarious.
That is amazing.
I obviously went up and with my Scottish accent, and they're trying to do like a Scottish accent, but it's, you know, it's meant to be Eddie Murphy, you know, so he's like, oh, you're from Scotland, so it's so good. It's definitely worth going to have a look for. Yeah.
Well, I hate to say this, fellas, but I'm so old. Last time I was at Universal Studios, they had the live Waterworld show.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
It was awesome, but yeah.
I'll bet it was.
Yeah. Do you have any memories of being in Universal, Michael? Or in the water show?
Watching Waterworld show. What else do I remember about being that? Had a couple of drinks.
Nice.
We went on what was the other one? Back to the Future ride, which is awesome.
Which is gone now, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, they replaced it with Fast and Furious. Yeah.
I mean, Where
Yeah.
you're going, you don't need family.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the family reference we can get in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
But I loved Universal, and of course I saw we did the Jaws thing.
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
Jaws thing was
Jaws,
brilliant. I
amazing.
love that.
Always brilliant.
That
In
was really
fact, big fan of Murder, She Wrote, and bits of Cabot Cove were filmed on the Universal lot. The
cool.
the ride, they use that as the background for their harbor. So sometimes in some episodes of Murder, She Wrote, you can see the orca.
Nice.
Wow.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Is there any characters in it called Bruce?
I mean, I hope so. There has to be one, doesn't there?
A few Jaws fans out there.
There's lots of people with the first name Brody because it was like the 80s and 90s. So,
Mhm.
a lot of Brodies.
Yeah, I went to drama college with two people called Ross. One was called Ross Martin, one was called Ross Brody, and I used to refer to the two as a tag team called Martin Brody, and they didn't find it funny at all.
Oh, that's great.
They just corrected me all the time. That's not her name.
No.
Tyler, last time we spoke, which was about Hook, classic film back in the day. And I just saw you in a show called Scots, where for those people with great memories, the listeners who remember Tyler's episode who may not be from here, this is the play where Tyler played a talking toilet, and was absolutely, if you can imagine a talking toilet, how good a toilet can be on a stage, Tyler was just the best talking toilet you've ever seen.
There's not many to compete with.
The only one that I know of anyway. His favorite film would probably be Flushed Away. Just saying.
Maybe.
Hey. Jeez. And then I saw you again a few months later. But since then, you've taken the show to New York, right?
Yeah.
And you did the show in front of an American audience, right? Now, as a Scottish person, I would have been absolutely fascinating to see how that would have went down over there. How was it? How did it go? How was the whole experience doing a Scottish play in New York?
It was hilarious. I mean, obviously the novelty of it as well is one part where people will be like, oh my gosh, you're Scottish. And we were there for Tartan Week, which is kind of a little bit like Americans cosplaying as Scots. But it's also, it's there to celebrate the diaspora and celebrate Scotland and the relationship with America, which is all really, really cool. But there was one woman at one of the shows. It was the fancy thing. We were performing at the University Club, which is a private members club that the Clintons are a part of. Nikola Tesla was a part of. It's like you if you're wearing the wrong shoes, you can't go room to room. Somebody will stop you. And there was this one woman who was clearly very wealthy and had imbibed quite a bit of alcohol. And I get to the beginning bit where I come out and I say, I am the toilet. You heard that correctly, not the toilet. Or not a toilet, not that toilet, not their toilet, the toilet. But every time I said toilet, this woman, I go, I am the toilet. She go, oh no, you had that correctly. Not a toilet. Oh no, not that toilet. Oh no, not the. It's just, oh no. And I was just looking at her going, this is super bizarre. Like, I can hear you, right?
Right.
It's not Gogglebox. But yeah. But it was really fun. It was really awesome. Scott's went down a total storm in New York. And one of the guys that came and saw us at 64 Below was like, I'm Scottish. I own the bar across the road. First round's on me. And we were like,
nice.
Oh, yeah, great. Lovely. It was really sweet.
Yeah, awesome. That's just, I saw the pictures and stuff. It just looked great. It looked so much fun.
It was wicked.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like once in a lifetime gig. I feel very lucky.
Yeah, cool. And you're going for the Fringe this year, second half of the Fringe, is that right?
Yeah. So it'll be on second half of the Fringe at the Gilly Do, which is run by the same folk who run the Ora More. So it'll be similar vibes. And yeah, looking forward to it. It should be a laugh.
Yeah.
It's nice coming back to a show after we've already come back to it. Because usually the first time you come back to something, you're like, what do I do? I don't remember how to do this. But we've already had that. So
yeah. It's like remembering all the lines and stuff. You go, oh yeah, I did this like 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
literally. It's like, that's fine.
Cool. Sounds good. And if I'm able to catch it again, I'll try and pop in, even just to say hello. I'll try and
no, totally.
Michael, this is obviously the first time you're on the podcast, and I have to ask you the stereotypical good bit question, which is: do you remember the first time you went to the cinema, or do you remember the first time that you watched the movie, or you said this is my favorite movie of all time as a kid? I'll just check. Greg, are you all right? Is everything all right?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt the chat. I'm just typing this out. The fire alarm is going off in my building, so I just want to check.
No,
We
please
can
do.
hear
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Go and be safe, man.
You guys
Yeah, that would be
continue. So, yes, I was typing this out because I didn't want to interrupt the chat. But yeah, the fire alarm's going off. I was like,
Definitely go check that.
I need to
Yeah.
check if we're not all going to burn.
All right, mate.
I won't be a second. Sorry.
You know
Touching
that with
wood.
his earphones. Like, can I hear the fire? Can I hear death coming this way?
See, he's always trying to upstage. Unbelievable.
I know.
No, I mean, he set fire to his own place just to upstage me, man.
It's because you asked Michael a question.
That's really good. He's always doing stuff like that. Unbelievable.
He set fire to his own place.
Just to upstage me.
You
know what I mean? Oh, by the way, Tyler, got 2 more movies for you to do. You Bended Like Beckham,
Excellent.
Turns of Endearment.
No, all good.
S turns of endearment. That's
Come on.
amazing.
No, it's not. Thank you for
good,
your
though.
charity there.
Oh no, I love that.
Dad jokes. Are you all right, mate?
Yes, it's not our building. I think I'm looking out of our window. It's the house over there, but it's just at the volume it was. I was like, I feel like that's upstairs.
It was a total Sheldon Cooper moment there. You were just like,
I was like, I kept going
No.
because I can still hear. I could take it off and
Well,
yeah.
I can still hear it, and I'm like, uh-oh.
I've completely. I threw you under the bus saying that you set fire to your own flat just to upstage me. Because come on, Greg.
This is your podcast.
Come on, Greg.
But to be super safe, Luce has gone to the gym. I need to just close this door, otherwise it will be hurt. So, one we say,
He's doing it again.
He's having a workout in this episode.
I know.
To answer your question, the first film I remember going to see was Star Wars.
No.
Oh,
1977.
of all the answers, that may be my favorite one.
Back when it was called Star Wars.
oh,
Not Star Wars New Hope.
Yeah.
And I was 4. And I remember my mum took me to the Monaco Cinema in Cardiff, which is now Bucker Flats. And and I remember saying this to her. We were watching it, and we were in the cantina, and Han was talking to Greedo shortly before Han shoots first.
Mm-hmm.
And my mum was reading out the subtitles for me. And in the middle of it, I turned to her and went, "Mum, shh, I know what he's saying." What an idiot. I didn't know what he was saying.
No, but you got it. You're like,
Yeah, sure.
it's fine.
Someone's going to get shot. That guy's going to shoot first.
I know.
There, see, told you. 4. So, yeah.
Sometimes with characters like that, you don't need subtitles. You know,
This is it.
You hear the noises. You go, oh
Yeah.
yeah, great acting.
It's all right, Matt. I don't need subtitles. I got subtext.
That's right. Shut up. Because, it was in the 70s. Mum, shh.
Yeah. You
But,
can tell me when we go to the pub after.
Yes. I know I'm having a single gin and tonic. I'm 4. Sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But and I do remember it affected me so much that Star Wars. I will shut up about it in a minute. But when we went to see Empire Strikes Back, everyone seen it? Don't want to give any spoilers.
Yeah.
At the end of it, because my parents, both my parents took me to see it, and at the end of it, I didn't say a word. I was silent, and I was in the back of the car, and they're like, "He's really quiet, isn't he?" Yeah. And then we got to the house. I went upstairs to my Star Wars figure collection silently, took out Han Solo figure, went downstairs, got a jelly mold, filled it with water, put it in, chucked it in the freezer. Didn't come out till Return of the Jedi. Psychopath.
A psychopath though, but the figure must have been blind though when it came out, surely.
Yeah, a little bit. It was, freezer sickness. And then at the end of Return of the Jedi,
That's hilarious.
Boba Fett disappeared into a sandpit. So yeah. So it's a Star Wars first film. Didn't affect me at all.
No, not at
No,
all.
no, no, no.
not at all. Just when that you took that figure out the freezer, it had a bit of a cold.
Yeah,
But yeah, I love that. Like I said earlier on today, I said, you ever have the urge just to watch A New Hope? You know, that way, like just like the kind of vibe of like old school Star Wars. You just kind of like want to just put it on sometimes. Like I feel like that right now.
yeah.
Nice.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also love the fact that you said, has everyone seen it? Just the biggest, plot twist in cinema history, which I hate the fact that now that's like a meme. Like you can show, if you're going to show someone who's never seen Star Wars before,
Yeah.
okay, we're about to watch Empire. Like, oh, like you get the popcorn. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
like she's like, oh, is this the one that, is his father and stuff? And I'm like,
oh,
yes, that is. We're about to watch it.
It's a point now.
Yeah, but you'd still force him to watch it.
Yeah. Put this in the freezer. Shut up.
Nice. Oh man, like those original films, if I got the chance to, like reissued versions of them, in the cinema, I'd be all over that. Like classic films such as Jaws and Raiders of the Lost Ark and things like that. Like, sometimes they're just shown at the cinema and you just go for the sake of it, just to kind of say, I've experienced that at the cinema. And you end up watching other people. You ever do that? You end up watching other people when the big moments are coming up. Like the bit in Jaws where like the head comes out the boat. Like you're not even watching the screen. You're watching people to see them jump. But it's just I would love to see that. So it's a really good first cinema experience. Tyler and Greg, what was yours again? I can't remember. What were your first films? I can't remember. I've done so many of these.
I can't remember what my first film in the cinema. I remember my first like date when I was really young. I don't even think I realized it was a date. It was Finding Nemo.
I mean, great first date.
And it was like, I went with a girl and her parents were also there. It's like, I remember going to see Shrek as well in the cinema. I think I was about 10 when Shrek came out. I think it was like for my 10th birthday.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I feel old.
Sorry.
I'll tell you what age I was when Shrek came out. I don't want to be.
Oh wait, no, I was older than that because it was 2001, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When Shrek came out. So that was my 12th birthday. Yeah. I think that might have been the year that my parents forgot my birthday as well.
Oh.
Well, I say forgot. We'd done stuff the week before, but it was literally on the day, and I was watching a show, and it was like, my parents are gonna hate me talking about this because like they're great people. Like they it was really like there was lots of stuff going on. It's what was it? But I was watching something with my dad, and we'd gone to go see Shrek. I'm sure like that weekend with friends. But it was on the actual day watching TV, and there was somebody's birthday on TV, and I was like, me and them have something in common. My dad was like, what? I was like, it's my birthday too. And he just went, oh no. And went upstairs. And I heard my mom have like the most sharp inhalation of breath, just going, honey, what do you want for dinner tomorrow? You hear the guilt, like, but I was like, I didn't. It's not that big a deal. But I'm sure that was the year that Shrek came out.
not Shrek 2, but the
no, first one. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Greg, do you remember your favorite or even first favorite film? It doesn't need to be a cinema, but
the earliest film I can remember seeing at the cinema was the CGI Disney movie Dinosaur.
Oh,
wow.
That is a banger of a film. Has aged beautifully because even the CGI from back then,
dinosaurs.
It's still really, really good. Like still really good to this day. Has like one of the most dramatic openings in like animation history. And it was just very good. And who doesn't love dinosaurs?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. That's the earliest one I can remember.
Nice.
It was so good. And then of course, you go to McDonald's afterwards and you cry your heart out for the toy that you really desperately want.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the earliest one that I can remember.
Yeah. I love like obscure films. I'm not saying they're obscure, but like, sometimes you don't think of those films as historic moments in your life. But when you think about it, if you become a film fan, that's a big moment, first time seeing something like that or discovering a favorite film,
Yeah. And then another so I was raised on films that probably were like way too old for me. And what on earth was it called? There's a film that's all about a virus that's being spread by monkeys, and Dustin Hoffman's the lead in it.
Outbreak.
Outbreak, that's it.
Nice.
So I remember
Good movie.
being seriously young, and that my dad watching it, and I was just lying next to him. And the opening of the movie is like, I think it's either the jungle's either getting like bombed or bulldozed or something like that. But there's an opening shot of a tiny little monkey just screaming into the camera, and I absolutely jumped out my skin. I've got to be no more than like 3 or 4 at this point. And
Yeah, they drop a bomb that's not nuclear, but it's the next one down, and they wipe out a whole village or something. I seem to remember. That's a good movie, man.
It's a very good film. I saw it when I was a bit older, but that's a vivid memory for me.
Wow,
so that's a core memory.
I actually had a core memory unlocked, and it was the mirror room scene from Hamlet. Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet, and I saw that scene, and it stuck with me forever. And I would always been like, I have no idea what this film is. And then I saw Hamlet, and I was like, that's the room that I've always remembered, and been like, amazing. What is that?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that was also really good knowledge of to name that film. Just it
was amazing.
Monkeys with a virus, and then I was ready to do a really quick Google, and then. It was Michael comes in and saves the day.
So impressive.
Sorry, nerdy man over here.
Nerd alert.
When I was sort of around in 10, 11, 12, my sister worked in a video store. So we used to get all the screeners and stuff.
Amazing.
So when I was 12, I saw Terminator. Probably not a great idea. But and
full frontal Arnie.
I mean,
it's informed a lot of Michael's decisions.
I have my self-esteem started low and stayed low.
When Michael gets in trouble, he just goes dum 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 dum, and he can overcome anything.
Exactly. Oh, I love that movie. It's a good film. Although I wouldn't have worn that guy's pants and coat. You know, when Kyle Reese comes through time and he first finds a hobo and puts his trousers in his coat.
Oh yeah,
mate. I don't know, man.
Of all the people,
yeah. I mean, you're from the future, bro.
I feel like you probably would have the power to choose anyone to take their clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Biehn's so good in that movie. Oh, he's so good. He's great. Good film.
Yeah. All right. Well, so this is the Damn Good Voices crossover episode, right? As all you are members of this voiceover agency, and I didn't really know what type of questions to ask that are like voiceover related. And so I was thinking, what do we say? Did we talk about who has the best voices in cinema? What are the best vocal performances in film history? What I will say is though, who are some actors that when you know are in the film, you're like, okay, A, I want to get headphones for the future so I can hear their voice. But B, you just know it's great voice. They're going to do a great job of this, whether it's live action or animation, probably more so because it's all voice work. But Tyler, we'll start with you. What do you think in terms of who has the best or your favorite voices in cinema?
Clancy Brown.
Nice.
That's a shout.
Yeah, Clancy Brown. He's the he's the prison guard in Shawshank. He was the baddie in Highlander, but my introduction to him was Carnival, which is awesome. HBO show that got canceled after two seasons, and it had it was the most written in to complain, like, why have you canceled this series that HBO had ever had? And it was because it didn't do well in the UK. But so many people were amazing in that show. Toby Huss, who is also a voiceover legend. He plays Dale Dribble in King of the Hill. You know, the conspiracy guy who's got the sunglasses and he doesn't realize that his son's not his son. He's in it, and he's like a serious actor in loads of stuff. But like Carnival was kind of one of these things. Anyway, Clancy Brown. I also know him as he was Lex Luthor in the animated Superman. Nice. As well as Mr. Krabs.
See, Mr. Krabs.
He is Mr. Krabs. Like when I found that out, that blew my mind. I'm like, the guy who looks like an Ellis Island head in Shawshank is also money. Like,
And he's a drill sergeant Zim in Starship Troopers, of course.
yes, yeah,
He's amazing in that.
yep.
Medic.
He's great in everything he does.
He's
I missed Earth 2, but I'm sure if that had come out now, I would have watched it. It was a like under the radar TV sci-fi thing, but he was one of the main guys in it. Anyway, Clancy Brown. That's my answer.
Quick nerd alert. In Carnival, which is, I agree, brilliant.
So good.
Nick Stahl, of course. He's fabulous. And Adrienne Barbeau.
Who's Adrienne Barbeau?
Adrienne Barbeau is an amazing actor. She was in The Fog. She's the radio announcer. She and John Carpenter, I think, were married at the time.
Yes, they were. Is she the snake charmer?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
As far as voiceover goes, she is the only woman in The Thing, which is my favorite movies. She's the voice, I think, of the computer.
Oh, no way.
So she does a bit of voiceover in that. She's the computer. The chess computer.
I feel like there's another voiceover thing because I feel like I went into a Google deep dive of the Carnival people and was like, oh my gosh, they've done this. Oh my gosh, they did this. Because what is it? Tommy Dolan. I can't remember his name, but he was in Prison Break and he's a fantastic actor. Like every time he shows up in something, you're like, he's the coolest guy. Like he's terrifying and he plays a great baddie. But in Carnival, he was the radio guy who's trying to kind of get to the bottom of everything. And he's just awesome. Anyway. Yeah.
Nice.
I need to rewatch that.
Yeah, I've always finished all podcasts just like a list of things now, like just to watch.
Totally.
Greg, what about you? What are some of your favorite voices that you like to hear?
I've got two. So James Earl Jones is that's just such an answer that everyone would give because it's infamous. You hear a single note come out of that man's voice and you're like, just amazing. And then Laura Bailey, I think her and James Earl Jones are my two favorite voice actors.
Laura Bailey.
Yeah, so she's in Critical Role. She's in The Last of Us 2.
Yes.
It does so much animation, so many video games, just phenomenal.
She plays a masked medic or doctor in The Last of Us TV series as well, I think.
Yes, there's like a little cameo.
She's very good.
But, two phenomenal voice actors, like just amazing. Well, just actors, but their voice work has been just amazing.
Nice one.
They're my two.
For me, it's got to be Robin Williams.
Good shout. Yeah, you wouldn't immediately think that, but yeah, it's a great shout.
He's the man who went into a booth for Aladdin, took an incredibly small amount of money, comparatively speaking, to do the job. I think because he wanted his kids to see it, and he went into a booth for what's the movie, like 90 minutes, maybe tops. He does about 20 to 30 minutes, maybe even less in that movie. But they came away with 14 hours of recording. And like
it's all
99.9% of that's going to be gold.
Right.
Definitely not all for children.
Yeah.
But 14 hours of just taking you on an amazing journey. I mean, that's incredible. And I think, that talent is sorely missed.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would say mine would probably be Michael Caine. That's a really easy answer, though, right? It's he's just playing himself because he has that voice.
Yeah.
But I was also watching Inglourious Bastards the other night because I think next week. Buongiorno. Yeah, that's what I was going. Grazie.
Grazie.
Next week, I think it is next week we're doing Inglourious Bastards on the podcast. So I was watching it just to refresh my memory, and I've seen this film a couple of times. I know the actors that are in it, and all of a sudden there's maybe 3 moments in the film where it's a voiceover, and it just so happens to be Sam Jackson. He's just phoned Sam on the phone and was like, "Listen, I got to we need the narrator here. Do you fancy doing it?" And it's Sam Jackson, who again, great voice. You could listen to, read the phone book, And speaking of Sam Jackson, did anyone see Secret Invasion?
No, I've not watched it yet.
No, watched it yet.
Seen it.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering any thoughts, but we'll get back to that.
Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. I've heard lots of people who didn't enjoy it,
Yeah.
which I'm assuming maybe is why some of you haven't watched it yet. Maybe you've heard some negative things.
I've not heard anything about it. I had
No?
a friend who we went to go and watch the Barbie movie, and he was like, "Oh, one of those Kens was in Secret Invasion." I was like, "Oh."
One of the Kens is like the baddie in Secret Invasion. Yeah, I enjoyed it. There was parts of it that I thought were rather slow, but you definitely, I think I'm a big fan of the Captain Marvel movie, and I think a lot of people kind of forget about that one. I think it's because when it was released, I think that really worked against it because it came out right. It was between Infinity War and Endgame. Captain Marvel came out when it's a great film. But people just go, "I want Endgame now," and just kind of disregard it. But it's kind of fallen on from that, and then it's going to lead to. I think it's going to lead to the Marvels, which is set for a November release. Is that right? November this year? Maybe it's been delayed. But yeah, so yeah, definitely check it. It's worth watching. It's another Marvel series. We're getting so much content.
Scroll storylines are tricky to try and do because they're huge.
Yeah. I just haven't had time to see it. I've got it kind of queued up, but yeah, you know what it's like.
The scroll stuff can be sometimes hard to follow as well because literally, every scene you're kind of like, is that them or is it not?
This is the thing as well. It's also tricky. I think one of the cool things in the comics with the Skrull was the fact that it kind of came out of nowhere, where they were like dealing with things, and then it was like, oh, the Skrull are back. All of a sudden, we can't trust anybody. Like, oh, okay, we got to deal with this as well. Like it was like a stakes enhancer, like for the comics, rather than being like we're only focusing on this storyline kind of thing. I don't know, maybe.
No, you're right. Yeah, it's sometimes that you are watching it going, can you really invest in this conversation because you're actually not sure if it is the character or if it's a Skrull. So it's one of those ones.
Great dramatic device.
Absolutely, yeah, and good CGI too. They've used all the time. Tyler, you mentioned that we will chat about Oppenheimer in a second, but we have to mention probably the biggest film in the world right now, and it's absolutely crazy. Isn't it lovely seeing how busy cinemas are right now, and how much of a vibe and how much of a good time people are having at the cinema again? It's nice. It feels like it's been a long time coming. Barbie is probably just going to end up right now make more money unbelievably than Oppenheimer. Probably in the long run, Oppenheimer will top it, but right now everyone's seeing Barbie.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think it will. I disagree. Yeah. I think Barbie. I think the only reason Oppenheimer is doing as well as it is because it has been part of the Barbie hype. Barbie is so much a part of the zeitgeist right now that Oppenheimer, because it is sort of an antithesis to Barbie in so many ways. You've got a film about toys that ends up talking about the patriarchy, and a film that talks about history and masculinity, and there's not many female characters. It's about blowing things up. Apparently, I saw a video today as well that Nolan really wanted everybody to see a massive explosion. And so he had like 3 big detonations where he had everybody coming around, and like somebody was talking about like, what was it? Is it not Dennis Quaid? Dennis Quaid's son.
Oh, Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
Jack Quaid and Matt Damon apparently like had this bromance.
Did they?
Yeah.
Apparently they had this total bromance where they would just point at each other and then just fall all over the place laughing. But like everybody, what was it as well? Remy Malek's whole his way into acting is like each character listens to a certain kind of music or is a style of music. So he decided that his character in Oppenheimer was related to Phoebe Bridgers. So he's just watching explosions, listening to walking Scott Street, feeling like a stranger.
Brilliant.
Whatever works.
Whatever gets you there.
I'm gonna full disclaimer. I'm seeing Barbie at the end of the week. I've still not seen it yet.
Sorry, I thought
awesome, cool.
No,
okay, I won't say anything.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm very excited. Very excited.
I think we'll get into it later.
Ooh.
Listen, if that was a smooth segue into Oppenheimer, please take it away.
Well, okay, so I think Oppenheimer sits in a certain place for me, like other really amazing films, like Citizen Kane, and No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood. Films that are visually stunning, that a lot of amazing work has gone into, and I can see that, but it didn't grab me emotionally. I feel like I'm like most Nolan things, I feel like there's probably one key ingredient that I'm missing. That, like, for me with Tenet, I'm not going to say what it is because it's kind of a spoiler, but I really enjoyed, there was one detail that wasn't even in the film that I had to go to deep dives where they're like, oh, if you missed it, this is a little nugget. And you go, oh, I don't know. I could say,
mean,
has everybody
now-
seen Tenet?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen it.
now you
So-
have to say it.
So, Robert Pattinson is the woman's son.
Yeah.
At the end, when he says, you're going to go and visit her, right? And he's like, no, I can't. And he goes, you're going to visit her, right? So you find out that in that moment, that's the reason why Robert Pattinson's character said, I work for you. You're the one who hired me because you've also raised me.
Yeah.
And that, for me, like, that actually gives me chills thinking about, because as a story beat, as a nice rug being pulled out, it's the only reason that you think about it as well. Why was Rob Pattinson's hair dyed just a little bit more blonde? So that he could be a believable Kenneth Branagh's son.
Ah, wow.
As well, his accent's a little bit more
Right.
like the mom. He's not doing his own sort of English accent. There's something else. And Michael Caine is Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. But when they said they're going to split up, they are actually splitting up in time, because he knows that if he goes back in time, nobody's going to be able to find him.
Amazing.
So he goes back. Michael Caine's character had firsthand knowledge of what was about to happen and said, this is what you have to do. He then uses his knowledge to go back in time and become part of the government.
Amazing.
And I was like, that's awesome.
It would have been good if that was in the movie.
It would have
Yeah,
been good if
would have
that was
been
in the movie.
very good.
I do agree. But I also
Yes.
enjoyed watching it in the same way that I enjoyed watching Oppenheimer, but I kind of got to the end and I was a bit like, yeah, like it was great, but
Yeah.
there's a real ambiguity with me, obviously, about what is important about telling this story now. And I think this is an interesting thing about the Barbie movie, of why that movie was made now and why it's doing well now. Whereas with Oppenheimer, it was amazing. The editing and things, it was literally like he was splitting the atom, like the way that scene structures were, the way so many of the things. But I also felt like some of it was vignettes on, like, oh, I know the fact of the guy who's going to bomb Nagasaki Kyoto was on the list and he took it off the list because that's where he had his honeymoon.
Yeah.
And when we got to that scene, I was like, oh, here comes that fact. Rather
Right.
than watching a scene unfold that made me feel something about the characters, there were so many little moments that was like, oh, that's a fun fact. Oh, that's a fun fact.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact. Which is cool and awesome, but it kind of feels like Christopher Nolan's going through his, like,
It's
middle-aged war documentaries.
it's unavoidable when you're doing something historic, though, as well, right? I mean, there are those
100%.
things, and there are
100%.
people who won't know that fact. So just
Definitely.
But I hear, I hear what you're saying on that. Yeah.
I felt like it could have been laid out in a better way. Like, I felt like, but I really appreciate at the same time what Nolan was doing, because there was definitely the new techniques, there was new things, and even the idea of, like, a lot of the story beats were fragmented in his sort of Nolan way. And one way that can be amazing is then you get the story in a different parcel. It's parceled differently. But I think he's done that better in other films.
Yeah, because, like, we went to go and see it in IMAX because we were like, we've got to go and see it in the best format possible, and
Totally.
we want to leave with tinnitus after this, so that was the goal. But, like, so I took my other half loose and we sat there, and, like, it was very interesting when the movie ended, because I'd gone into it having researched a little bit about it and looked up what had happened, whereas Luce was just going to just view a movie and to just see this thing. And when it ended, I remember Luce turned to me going, I'm so confused. Like, we got what happened and understood everything, but I remember going, God, yeah, after that, if I didn't know anything about all of this,
Mm.
and then that finish, you'd kind of go, what was that?
Yeah.
So it was a really interesting movie experience. Just because I feel like it's one of those films that definitely benefits if you had been to go and see it. Like my dad and his wife went to go and see it. They're like, there was a lot of talking. There was a lot of talking, and considering it's a movie about bombs going off, there wasn't many explosions. They said
That's
just a lot of
hilarious.
talking. They said it would have been better if we'd have read the book beforehand.
Interesting.
So
It's,
I was
it's
like,
inspired me to go and read the book because I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fascinating.
I loved it, and I know I'm kind of older than you guys, but I'm not that old.
No,
exactly.
So I don't like remember him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by what they thought they had to do,
Yes.
and
That's
I
interesting.
also I love a science montage. There
Oh,
we are.
the
I'm gonna
science
say it.
montage is
Love a science montage. And what I like about films like that, with a lot of Christopher Nolan stuff, is it is like, to me, poetry in the
same.
fact that I love listening to it. I don't understand about 80% of it, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Because it's like, slight sidestep. Who here has seen Chernobyl?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I haven't.
I've not seen
Oh
it.
Yeah.
my God.
I know,
Well,
I
okay.
need to. It's on
Oh
my
God.
list.
Guys, you got to watch it because there's a whole
Yes.
bit where Jared Harris talks about how it's an RMK reactor is how a nuclear reactor works, right? And he says it in such a way you go, oh yeah, of course. And now I can't remember a thing about it. I
Right.
don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what happens.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they do. But there was, because the words were put together so well, and you had this amazing actor with another amazing voice, explaining it all the way through. Saying, yep, got that, no problem. I can make one. And now can't remember it. And that's why I enjoyed about Oppenheimer. It was I felt immersed in the whole thing. It was confusing, but I enjoyed working my way through it.
Yes.
I thought the performances were stunning across the board.
Yeah.
So there's lots of I got a lot more out of it, and it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a horror film.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
the
the other thing.
auditorium scene.
Oh my God! It was. It was.
Yeah.
I started. I started to tear up.
Yeah.
And
I think that was the most hitting point,
Yeah.
like for anything, because it was also very clearly done. You know,
beautifully done. Yeah,
it beautifully done. The mirroring of the explosion with that of and obviously the moral ambiguity as well of the whole thing, like which I think is, and this is also something where like the feeling that I went away with, I think is probably more intentional than not. I think it's just not as enjoyable as a feeling as walking away going, whoo.
Right.
And that, again, that may be the point, because Nolan says, you know, with his films, he says, you feel your way. Like you don't have to make sense of things if you can feel your way through it. And the whole time I was not settled on liking anybody in this world.
Right.
Like
as well,
the performances
you
were
shouldn't.
great. Well, and I totally get that. But there was also a few things where I was like, Matt Damon needs to do more comedy. I can't take him seriously. He was the one part for me where I was like, he just has a really lovely twinkle in his eye all the time. If he was angry at me, I'd be like, I don't really care, man.
Yeah.
You're
Say
adorable.
something else. Yeah.
Like, whereas, and again, this is me being pedantic, you know, it's unnecessary, but what's the blonde guy who was in Breaking Bad who looks like a young Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Jake Phillips.
no.
Phillips. Something Plemons.
Jesse
Yes,
Plemons.
Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons. Thank you.
Yes.
Like somebody like him.
Jesse Jake Phillips Plemons. That's his.
Right.
That's his wrestling name.
Where did I get
Excellent.
Jake Phillips from?
I like it. And it's
I
good.
always see it. I worked it out in
Simpson.
my head. Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie.
No, that's quite all right. But somebody like that has like that nice, can do that nice turn of going, and now I'm going to be scary, because that I think because of Matt Damon, who again is a brilliant actor, but because of that, the stakes didn't feel real with that relationship. And so by the time we got that moment where you do realize he actually has had Oppenheimer's back, like he really does. And yes, he's like, I wouldn't approve him now, but he is absolutely loyal to his country. It wasn't as satisfying as I want it to be. Same with the moment when the wife is being interrogated and she turns around, she goes, I know more than you think I know. And you're like, it just felt a few of those beats weren't as satisfying as in so many other like Nolan films. Like I think about The Prestige or Dark Knight, and like, see when you find out what's going on in The Prestige,
Right.
It's like, oh my God. Oh, that's horrendous. This is an awful situation, but also magical and terrifying. And I was also really sad that the amazing montage that they had at the beginning with the song that has the synth and it gets faster and faster. At the beginning, it's basically like his superhero montage before he puts his hat on and grabs his pipe.
I know, it's hilarious. That was really.
But it was a total superhero montage, which again set me up in a weird way because I was like, should we be worshiping this guy?
Yeah.
Right.
Should we be looking at him as a hero?
Do you think that it was set out to make people worship him?
No, I think they tried actively to not do that. But this is the problem with making a film like that. And because now we have the perspective of looking back at things like Fight Club and American Psycho and all these other films that have been taken in it, these films that are anti-capitalist, they're trying to make a point to show how bad something is, but inadvertently half the population end up going, oh, Patrick Bateman's amazing. You remember the scene where he's like looking at the ATM and it says, feed me a cat? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
But
no, he's having a psychotic brain.
You can't help people. I mean, it's like Alan Moore. People keep coming up to him and go, oh man, Rorschach's a great character. He's like, no, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because that you don't understand what I've written, but that's not the artist's fault, I don't think.
Totally,
but
100%.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, like, they could have gone further into other things. And I get that completely. What I will say is this: what I really enjoyed about them, because I did enjoy the film a lot, is that it's a 3-hour film of basically people talking.
Yeah.
And it paced like that.
That's a very good point.
Quick.
Pacing is huge. The only film, well, not the only film, but like the other one for pacing, if you've ever seen Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
3-hour movie, black and white in Japanese, and it goes like that.
Totally. That's a really good point. This was the thing as well, because I was watching it, acknowledging like you feel like you are watching something great. Like
you're watching an event, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah. It's something. And it has that. It's why I said Citizen Kane as well, because it's that thing where it had a lot of similarities of that kind of like, and now we go to this, and
this is important.
Yeah, we're literally jumping to the most important parts in people's lives, and it was. I mean, the editing is unreal. Like,
this is what I was going to say.
good.
It's such a well-made film, right?
Yeah,
and no one does this quite often, where you are watching, you're immersed in, the story and the characters are brilliant and stuff. And then, something like The Prestige or whatever, even Memento. If you've seen Memento, you kind of find out what's going on halfway through, and then you're kind of with it as you keep going.
Hang on, have I seen it? Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched Memento, and then someone had uploaded it on Daily Motion in reverse order. So I watched it again.
Amazing.
And
I'm sure there's edits where they put it all in actual order, in chronological order.
It was really interesting. Watch like that. I actually have
this guy's crazy.
Affection for that film because of that. But yeah, especially Oppenheimer, where I don't know much about the situation. I don't know. I hadn't read about it loads. I know obviously from learning history or whatever, but I don't know the details, right? So it's a horrendous life event that has happened and is based on a true story and all this stuff. But you do come out of it being like, that was a really good film.
Yeah.
So it's trying to find that balance of, it's very well made. It's like watching another like war film, like 1917 or All Quiet on the Western Front. These are horrendous things that are happening, but you have to come out going, that was great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a weird kind of feeling you have, and I think Nolan does that a lot.
There is that whole thing with Oppenheimer that it was off-putting a little bit about the cameos, not the cameos, but like,
well, here
there's a meme going around, which is someone says, well, who should we cast in Oppenheimer? And then it cuts to what's his name, flipping heck, Gary Oldman in Leon going, send everyone.
It's so true.
Leon, and it's like, I was like, oh shit, that's
right.
So
the whole film, I'm sitting, obviously, the kind of main characters, the main actors that are going to be in it because they're on the poster. But I swear, every 20 minutes, I was sitting going, that looks like Emily Blunt. Oh wait, it is Emily Blunt.
Yeah,
that looks like Rami Malek. Oh, it is Rami Malek.
Oscar winner Rami Malek.
Well, and then, of course, you have somebody like Rami Malek show up for that one little scene, and you go, well, he's going to come back because he's not. He wouldn't have taken a job that small.
Yeah.
And then even then, like, some of the other cameos, one of the guys from Drake and Josh. And it was
Josh Peck shows up. I'm like, Josh.
What a random thing. But then you go, oh, he's the guy that presses the button.
Right.
So he's got his one moment. It was a little bit off-putting where you do kind of go, actually... You go.
Can I say?
Yeah.
Let's all just say, and let's. I mean, I have to say this. Josh Hartnett. So fit. Oh my god, that man's so good looking.
How is he still? How is his hairline that good?
When is he going to break?
Nah, he won't.
Unbelievable.
It's in the genes, man.
He's so good. He's such a great actor. And always has been. Yeah. People are going, oh my god, he can act. Like, he always could, man. He's really good.
No, he's brilliant.
I really like him in that film.
I really loved that. And his character as well was really, really good. Like, it was really interesting because there was a few characters that I felt like did a better job of the storytelling of those beats, and one of which was Josh Hartnett in all those moments of being like, don't do this.
Yeah.
And you did also feel that fear of, I will out you. Like, there, especially because right now, what those conversations meant was it was entirely political. Like, which is something that is completely mirrored to why would you make this film now? Like, and those conversations were really, really interesting. Yeah. Like, but then it was also like, I also wonder how much of it is through our lens of now, because obviously like McCarthyism and all of that stuff, when it was happening, like the idea of getting caught out as a communist, and because there's no differentiation between communism and socialism back there either. Yeah. Like, you hear, what's his name? MIT genius economist and linguist. His name's gonna come to me.
You're on your own here, bud.
Yeah, totally.
Reed Richards.
No, but he might as well be.
What about a search? MIT
speech professor. I'll find him. Noam Chomsky. Thank you. Noam Chomsky said it, years ago, where he was like, it's all the academics in Europe are socialist, like in ideals, and in America you can't be. And so it is really interesting talking about that. But obviously now everything is a bit more sort of the left and the right are very different than they were 30 years ago. It's not as scary to be one or the other. Whereas at certain times in America, it was, and because we didn't get to see that. And again, this is like, Nolan's only showing us what we should see for the story. So in that, the Hartnett stuff was awesome. So that was a very long way of me basically saying that. But,
and he's super good looking. Come on,
that relationship was really, really good and told more of the story of the stakes. Also, the other scene that I really, really liked was when they were like, on the train, and he's like, you said what to the guy who's investigating you? And you've just got this really calm, steely guy who's he's not doing a lot, and you just hear the story of like, he hunted them down and he killed them. Like, this man was in Russia, boots on the ground, like, he will not stop. And you're cutting to him, and it was that was a great moment.
That's Casey
Really-
Affleck, right?
In case
Casey Affleck as well
was it?
pops up.
He was
Oh, I didn't realize
haunting.
that. It was
playing
just
that.
terrifying.
scary. Yeah, like
Um,
proper scary.
Yeah.
Something that I've got to bring up though, as is the case with most Nolan movies, is that the music. Oh
Mm.
my
Yeah.
god!
Yeah.
It was Ludwig Göransson. I think Göransson, if I'm pronouncing it correct. So he's the same chap
Is
that
it?
did. the
Was it
music for
Ludwig? Was it
Tenet.
not? Was it not?
It wasn't Hans Zimmer. No, it was Ludwig
Oh,
Göransson. It's
so-
the same person that did Tenet. So it was
And
really quite tense.
Mandalorian, is
Oh,
it not?
yeah. I think so.
It must have been.
think
He's
so.
an absolute
Um,
genius.
What's his
But
name?
Ludwig
Ludwig Göransson.
Göransson.
Yeah.
But the thing for me was that I remember, oh god, maybe about a year ago when we started seeing the teaser trailers for this, and it
Mhm.
was just literally the clip of Oppenheimer at his window, putting the hat on and just adjusting it and like feeling the rim of his hat, and there was that,
Yeah, I remember that.
and I was like, okay, that music feels like either it's going to be like a countdown to a bomb going off, or originally my thought was like, I've got it. I know exactly what it is. It's going to be the sound we hear when the train is taking the bomb away. And it's not that at all. So this motif that we've heard all the way through this movie is the stamping of feet of admiration for bombing hundreds of thousands of people. And I was like, oh my God, that
Terrifying.
that for me was the most chilling moment of the whole
Yeah,
movie.
definitely.
That this musical motif that we've heard, that I was like, maybe it's like it's meant to be like the sound of doom approaching. Nope, it's the stamping feet of admiration.
Which is interesting, isn't it? The horror of the mob,
Yes.
which we still experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
But then
just digital.
it brings back, because like we were talking about it on the way home, that was like, what a horrendous situation to be in. And then we were like, oh yeah, but wouldn't have Oppenheimer have all the way along this thought, maybe we shouldn't be building this bomb because it's going to do this. You know, it's all very good in retrospect, but then it becomes that situation of, well, either we build it or they will first.
Right.
Someone's going to do it and someone's going to bomb the other one. And that becomes then the moral dilemma of it, is that it's a case of, well, we could just sit back and not do it, but we know that they're doing it, which means that chances are we're going to get hit first.
Mhm.
And I suppose then it becomes the conversation of just that it's just the horrific reality of war, that it becomes a thing of that, well, if the enemy don't do it first, then we have to.
And
which
it
is
does resonate
scary.
today. There is a huge resonance today because we're teetering on that edge again. And
Yes,
I'm old enough to remember the late 70s and 80s where I thought we were going to get bombed.
Mm.
And I used to wake up terrified of that, I have to say. But saying that, what none of us have experienced is living through, thank goodness, and touch wood we never do, living through a world war.
No, thank
And
God.
I think he does put us there, and that's fascinating. And so many of these judgments that people have made definitely were bad, or at least morally questionable. But you're right, there were other people doing the same thing. It doesn't make it right.
No, God, no,
You
not
know.
at all. But it's you can understand then, and it adds to the urgency and the feeling that the movie's like a countdown to literally to like a bomb going off, because it's that dread of that we have to get this done before they do, because we know that they're building it. They will bomb us if we don't get it, if we don't do it first.
Yeah, that moment with the V2s going over and past, and the rockets.
Yeah,
and that sequence at the end where you just see thousands of them.
Yeah,
but
then it's just like the raindrops in a puddle as well.
Yeah.
Like,
that was
very
really
cool.
Yeah.
And that was the first shot of the movie as well.
Yeah,
and first, and I think one of the last shots, other than like panning in on his face.
I didn't even pick up on that. And I always say, regardless of what the film is, I probably enjoy the film better the second time, because you're going into it kind of what's going to happen there, you're looking out for the real good stuff, whereas Nolan films, you kind of need to, he expects a lot from the audience, right? I think that's a given. And you have to watch it 3 or 4 times, right? And it's a big commitment, it's a big commitment to watch it. So I know
to hear the dialogue.
Exactly. So if I go back and watch this, which I know I will, because again, I've only seen it once, and it's like, it's an Nolan film, so you're going to pick up so many other things. I was distracted by, look at this A-list actor popping up here, Matt Damon just chatting to Casey Affleck, and then Florence Pugh's chatting to Robert Downey Jr. in the corner, and it's just like, what's going on? see wee things like that, like with the raindrops. I didn't even pick up on that. Like that's such a kind of scary way of putting that. What about the scene when they're testing the bomb? And it's the big build up. Josh Peck's getting ready to press the button, and it's just amazing. There's been a few times in the cinema where like you can hear a pin drop because all the sound just goes and it's just gone, and everyone's just like what, and then it hits you, and it's so obviously realistic because that's how far back they were from the explosion. So you're going to see it before you hear it and you feel it, and you really, even sitting in that seat, you totally feel it. That explosion, and it just was done so well. It's got Oscars written all over it because of that scene alone.
Oh yeah,
with like the sound editing and the way it hits you.
The sound design, absolutely,
yeah,
hammers it. And like you're saying, like in horror movies when they talk about the negative space in frame, and they were having that, but in the sound design, that moment where, as you said, all the sound just gone, and you're waiting for it. It's really interesting the fact that they didn't use CG for it. They just blew up a ton of gasoline, and he wanted to put you inside the explosion. So people going, we didn't see a mushroom cloud. No, because you're in there, you're in it.
Yeah,
and that's very interesting. I still think it's extraordinary that they thought, hey guys, what we're going to do is we're just going to turn around and lie down. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
don't be afraid.
It might ignite the atmosphere, but
exactly.
It might destroy the world. Yeah,
it might destroy the world. Yeah,
lying down.
I would like chances to be zero. Although, I don't want to undermine this whole thing. But have you seen on social media there is, and I don't support this. You don't go into movie theaters with a phone or anything like that. However, there is a thing saying there's a reel. I farted in Oppenheimer.
I think I saw that.
It's that moment. They're filming it, and they press the button, and it goes completely silent, and you just hear in this cinema, and you just hear obviously the people who are there being very immature going, and other people in the auditorium like, and it's
That's gonna be contagious.
You can't plan. Can you plan a fart? I don't know, but if you know one's coming and you got that moment, do you take that moment? Do you walk away thinking I regret not taking that moment?
Oh yeah. That's joy. That's joyful.
It's awful. It is, and I don't condone that kind of behavior. But
if that happened in the cinema and someone else did that at that moment when I was like gripping the edge of my seat, and they ruined that moment, I would have been raging.
Yeah, I would have been so angry. But in retrospect, it's really funny.
It is really funny.
It's that,
But
it's awful.
Yeah,
I wouldn't appreciate it at the time, but
not at the time. But after, you could probably laugh at it.
I am going to have to find it now.
It's
for later.
Incredibly childish.
Yeah, there's a scene in Drake and Josh that's become a meme now on Twitter where the character Josh is having hallucinations about a games console, the games sphere.
Oh yeah, spherical.
It's spherical, and he's like the character is going, I'm pressing it. That's like the Drake and Josh, and it's like, the clip is like,
really?
This is what I thought about during that Josh Peck scene.
That's
I'm pressing it. I couldn't stop. I saw that before I saw the film, and I was like, I wonder what Josh Peck scene they're talking about. And it just so happens to be that one in the film.
That's so funny.
We haven't even really mentioned him. What about Cillian Murphy? An amazing performance in this film.
Stunning.
Yeah, just we are building a bomb. Oh, it's just. He was phenomenal.
I heard today that apparently he had everybody call him Oppenheimer, which makes me.
I read that too. He tried to give himself to himself. Yeah, and then
which is, you know what, you got to do what you got to do. I totally get it, but I think Cillian Murphy is a fantastic actor, but I don't. I feel sometimes in Hollywood there's a version of acting which is just not doing much. And sometimes, and this is, I think, where some of my stuff, I wanted to see a little bit of more of what was going on internally with Oppenheimer. And I felt like I didn't get that. And again, that may be intentional, or that may be just because it just didn't hit it for me, because I know loads of people that it did. And it was right on the money, which is totally awesome. But for me, I don't know. It just, there was something missing, and I don't know what it is. And maybe that was missing intentionally. I don't know.
From him or from the film?
I think it was, to be honest, I think it was the script. Personally.
Have you seen like the screenplay? I literally was in Waterstones yesterday and picked it up and looked at it. The whole screenplay is written in first person.
Really?
That's interesting.
The whole of the script. So it'll be like, I gaze across at the Trinity test, my heart thumping. All I can hear in my head is the sound of my own breath. I see a bright white light, and it'll be like, and it goes cut to outside. And it's like, I see them lying on the floor. So the whole script was written in first person. And I was like,
and I think that's the ingredient I was missing from the Nolan. That's the Nolan nugget that you have to have, because that makes so much of the film make more sense. Even the funky editing at the beginning where he's seeing the things and it's all about his turmoil and his he looks traumatized, like he is going into madness trying to figure out what this is, trying to pierce beyond the veil. So thanks, Greg. That's
all right. Well, I picked it up. I was like, oh, I wonder how he wrote that Trinity test.
That makes so much sense.
What was the moment? How was it written of like the detonation? And he said, and it was like, I think the writing goes into like, I gaze at the light as it becomes, and then it's all in big, bold block capitals. It's brighter than the sun. It is the sun. It is death. And then it cuts, and then it says, I deliver the line. And then it goes, I deliver the line. Now I am become death, or whatever the Prometheus line is. And I was just like, okay, wow.
And
that
again,
has more of an impact now.
I wonder if these things, would sit in on a second or third viewing of the film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like I would probably enjoy it a lot more after, seeing the whole third hour of the turmoil he's going through and the verdict and the kind of accusations, and then the kind of relationships that are broken because of it, and then how he's feeling, but then he's being kind of applauded worldwide for something that he did. And I think I really enjoyed the film as well. I just feel like I hate to be one of those guys like, oh, it's too long. It's 3 hours is too long. But I think because I was expecting the climax and the end of the film to be at the explosion, to be at the bomb.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I didn't realize we had all this stuff.
A long while to go.
Yeah,
so I'm sitting going, wow, like this is flown by. We're nearly over. It's nearly finished, and then we had a whole other hour of him, feeling the consequences of that. And I think that hurt my enjoyment of the film because I didn't know that bit was coming. So I think the more I watch it, I'll appreciate it more. But other than that, I thought it was great. What did you think of the kind of going back and forth between the black and white scenes from a different perspective to the full color scenes, and then you're kind of supposed to take your own initiative from each version of the film?
Literally just thinking about that, because obviously it's flicking between objective and subjective, and it's every time it's in black and white. Oppenheimer doesn't really talk a lot. It's because here's how everybody else viewed him. But then it's in color. You're like, oh, okay, well, here's how Oppenheimer viewed that. One thing that I didn't look for in the script was whether those black and white scenes were in the script. Damn, should have looked for that. Because then that would have been like,
damn, you've let us all down.
Damn it! Because if it's all from first person, how would Oppenheimer have seen those objective scenes that he wasn't part of?
He wasn't there.
I don't know. Yeah, so I'll have to,
especially with the black and white being the future.
Yes,
black and white not being the past, which is what we typically, when we go flashback, we go, oh, we're going back towards, and it wasn't. We were actually moving forward to that, and I was like,
right?
You could take it obviously as the literal, this is court, this is black and white, this is logical. There's nothing colored in this. There's no nuance in that. Which
that's interesting that you say that, because of course, yes, it was in the future, it's black and white, but of course for us it's in the past, and it is in black and white. So it sort of says about like my parents were born in the 30s, they grew up in the 40s and 50s, but for them everything was color.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But to us it's history.
Yeah.
So when we're looking back at it, honestly,
nice.
This is, Greg, that's totally unlocked so many things for me that make so much sense, including why Cillian Murphy acted the way that he did, because we were in his head. He doesn't have to show us anything, because we are inside of him, which also means that the whole film is him defending himself. It's his perspective rather than so, which is why it's not going to be like, I'm an asshole.
Yeah, it's the what do they call it? Is it the do they call it like an unreliable narrator or something? What was the term?
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, well, and again, and history is written by the victors, but
Yeah.
it was that whole thing of like, okay, so anything that happens while we're in color could or could not have happened because it's how this one man that we're
Right.
following perceived it.
That's
Whereas in
right.
black and white, okay, Oppenheimer barely speaks, especially when you see it's the big dining room
Yeah, where they move the
table scene
flowers.
where they move
Yeah.
the flowers.
I
So
love that moment.
when
great.
that's in color, Oppenheimer's speaking so much, and he's got whole control of the room, and he's saying this and saying that, and he's like, well, no, you're wrong and you're wrong this. But when it goes to black and white, it's almost like he's then suddenly sheepish. He's very hunched over. He's very reserved, and Robert Downey Jr.'s character is the character that is in power in that moment, and you can see it. The whole dynamic of how that event took place is so different when you watch it in color versus black and white. It's so clear when you're watching it. I was like, oh, this is clever. But again, it's probably something you pick up on like the second or third time. This was from doing like a little deep dive afterwards, and I was like, oh yes, of course I noticed that. And you're like, yeah, again, Nolan, damn it.
I was going to say, who made this film again? Is it Chris
He's
Nolan?
Yeah,
always-
exactly.
he's-
Yeah.
He's clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely
No
thinks about
doubt.
things a bit much.
No doubt in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it is a very serious subject matter, of course, and as we're saying, it's hard to kind of go, how great was this? Because it's such a sad thing.
Yeah.
However, I always end the podcast by asking my guests, what was your favorite bit? What was the best bit of this film? What was the good bit of Oppenheimer? So many incredible scenes. I always love when, dots are joined in films and you're kind of rewarded for paying attention in the first 20 minutes in hour 3, just because you feel clever. It's like, I'll work this out, especially like a big film, like a Nolan film or whatever. But even just the bits with like Robert Downey Jr. walking past Einstein, and like coming to grips with what he actually said to him. Did he plant seeds into Einstein's head that he didn't like me, and all that? And then you kind of are rewarded by remembering that bit later on. Is another very clever thing that Nolan does. But I think I can't get past the test of the explosion. I think it probably was the bit that I was totally invested in the most. What about you guys?
Well, for me, it's the audience when he meets everyone and they're all stamping and clapping, and that horror. It really affected me. It was very disturbing.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. I enjoy being moved to that point because that hardly ever. I'm so desensitized by so many things like we see on TV and film now, but that just got something right to the core of me because it's real.
Yeah.
Did you spot that moment where there was what it kind of like really focused in on one person in the audience, and they were clapping and cheering, and then silently they go, wow, like that, and you see them like audibly like make that whooping noise. And there's then a bit of a delay, and then you hear a scream while still on that person. I'm like, it's hearing a bomb, but hearing it after it's detonated. So they're kind of like, cheer as the bomb going off. There's the delay, then the scream hits. I was like,
yeah. Tyler, what about you? Any moment that really? It's so hard with so many great scenes.
There's loads of really brilliant moments. I think. I really liked all the lab stuff where it was them problem solving. I love, those scenes all worked really well. Like they were just nice. I love a satisfying moment where you get to see, these historic things where you don't know how the order of who came up with things, but you know that this guy made this decision and this guy made this decision, and seeing those play out was really, really fun. I thought they were really well done outside of obviously like
what they were actually making.
Yeah, what they were 100% like.
It's so weird,
it's just problem solving. Where they're like, we're just problem solving. We're just scientists. We're theoretical physicists. Like, it's theory. Not this is and we get to make this real. Awesome, super. My sister went to school with loads of. My sister went to school in New Mexico, and she ended up working at Sandia Laboratories, which was one of the first atomic bomb assembly lines. She knew a guy that kept TNT in his in his apartment when he was studying because he was studying explosives.
Wow.
Sure.
Okay.
Wow. 4th of July around there must have been quite impressive.
Oh, you know it. I'm sure they actually did have massive 4th of July parties.
Oh my God.
Want to take a box out in the desert?
Yeah.
I found one called a little boy. Should we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Just as we wind down here, where I know we've probably only seen this once, but where does Oppenheimer, the Nolan film, rank with some of his others? Is this right up the top of the list? Is it in the top 5 favorite Nolan films? I know, Michael, you probably would rank it maybe higher than the rest of us if you said it was kind of one that you enjoyed more than us, or
I would say it's in my top 5. Yeah,
top 5,
yeah,
top 3.
definitely. Yeah, made me think a lot, and made me very.
I'd say
Move me.
top 3 for me. Dunkirk's still my favorite Nolan movie.
I
I've
forgot
still
about
not seen it.
Dunkirk.
That's
Not
Still
seen
not
it?
seen Dunkirk. No, I haven't.
Tyler. It's astounding. Like
Worth
the
a watch, man.
the
Yeah,
the
no, I need to.
soundtracks part of my running playlist. I own 3 copies of it all in different versions because it's
Of course
just
you do.
of
course
of
you do.
course
That
it's
was-
just incredible. Like the sheer again, he's got a mastery of a sense of urgency. And I've never known another filmmaker to make you feel so stressed while also thoroughly enjoy something.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's the point is that he's experimenting with us, and that
Totally.
is something
appreciate
that
that.
we need.
We do.
Multi-million-dollar art house film.
Yeah. That are going to bend structure, storytelling, all of these things. And that was one thing that the whole time I was watching it, I was going, I do appreciate.
Yeah.
Like, and it's that thing. Sometimes you need a second watch of going like,
Sure.
because again, when you got that key of going, when you watch Tenet again and you realize that the guy who is going to save his life is the guy who he's raised as a child and is also the guy that he saw at the very beginning with the tag on his backpack. And you go,
Yeah.
This is a sacrifice movie.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And we've been watching it all in reverse. And you go, I like everybody more.
Yeah.
And same with Oppenheimer. I think watching that again with that perspective of going, this is all inside his head. And this is entirely his perspective.
Yeah.
So that also means that like anytime, the script is not anytime the script is pulling punches, that's Oppenheimer not wanting us to not like him.
Yeah.
And that is awesome. Because that makes I need to watch it again.
I need to watch it again.
That.
Yeah.
And you're right. Second viewings are very important.
I mean,
very important.
Inception. None of us got.
No.
First time I watched it, I was like, what's happening? I liked it.
I think I liked
the
it.
bit where they were wearing
I think
all
I
the
liked
white
it.
bits in the snow.
I like when they're flying.
Yes, nice.
It's kind of the same with Interstellar as well. I was totally
yeah.
mind blown.
It's
Totally
just-
mind blown.
Murph.
I quite like Batman Begins. That's great.
Oh yeah,
Quite
Dark
a good
Knight.
film.
Dark Knight was. It took
Dark
me
Knight.
a week. Well, obviously we talked about Barbenheimer. What was it? The meme was that the Dark Mama walked so that Barbenheimer can run because the Dark Knight and Mamma Mia came out the same weekend
They
15 years
did.
ago.
Yeah.
And I
That's
remember
right.
my mom was like, "We're gonna go see Mamma Mia. You should come and see it. You should come and see it." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I don't want to see it." But I had seen The Dark Knight a week before, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I ended up going to see Mamma Mia because I was like, just think about something other than Heath Ledger's ridiculous performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. And I think Aaron Eckhart would have been the greatest movie superhero villain had it not been for Heath Ledger.
Right.
Yeah.
In the
It's
same
amazing
film.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody was great in that.
Huge
No one was
event
bad.
though. Do you remember going to see Dark Knight Rises a few years later and just the anticipation? You know what I mean?
yeah.
After the Dark Knight.
I was wondering, do you have this vest in a slightly darker brown?
Yeah. Did you want to hear the dialogue? You're like,
Oh, my favorite is, by the way, you can do that. You can do that if you speak into a cup.
Oh, Oh, I was born in the dark. You were merely
There it
adopted
is.
it.
There it is.
Wow.
Yes.
Very good.
It's all right.
Very good.
Favorite voiceover actors? Tyler Collins. For
There you go,
Oh,
yes.
Hey,
Yes.
this is the gang. Like, this is the team.
Yeah.
Well, not really. I mean, you guys can do all the voice in the world. I just got this dumb old thing. So
But it's
Stop
good,
it.
though.
Stop
It is
it.
well,
That
it's
armoring
a
the Space
though.
Marine video.
smooth
That was
baritone.
amazing.
Oh,
Honestly,
man.
when I started watching that, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" And then I found out it was
Yes.
Michael. I was like, "Yes,
Yes.
that was awesome." Anyways,
They based his body on mine as well. Yeah, I've got,
Of
I've got an
course.
8-pack and I'm 9 feet tall.
that's good. Well, now that's logged into AI, and they're going to use it forever.
God damn it.
We found the body of a god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Listen, guys, this has just been a joy to listen to because you've got such beautiful voices. You know, so
as have you, Chris.
Ditto.
As have
Yes.
you.
Exactly.
well, thank you. I mean, you're welcome to come back anytime. All three of you, three incredible guests, lovely. The easiest podcasts are the ones where I don't have to do anything. So,
Let us ramble.
Oh, let's do this again soon, please. Can we?
Yeah.
Please.
no, I'd love that. Yeah, we're back going every single week here for the podcast. So I'm always
Yes.
trying to load up on guests and films to chat about and watch again. So please, you're all welcome back on any time again. And thank you very much for watching and listening, everybody, to this episode of the Good Bit Podcast. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you all down the road.
Citizens